Coming to you live from Ursprung Gymnasium. Welcome inside our coverage of the Ohio Athletic Conference on BWYellowJackets.com. I'm Brendan Gulick alongside Eric Kwiatkowski. This is the OAC on the men's side. We had a women's game earlier this afternoon. It's the host Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets against the Fighting Muskies from Muskingum University. A Muskingum team that is way better than they've been the last several years. Totally the surprise in the conference in the first half of the year, and they beat BW in overtime in round one.
You're absolutely right. They only won 6 games last year. This year they've already won 10. They're a lot more experienced. They've been playing great basketball, and I'm interested to see how this second round battle will be today.
And they let people across the conference know they were for real early on with wins against both John Carroll and BW in a one-week stretch down in New Concord. This is a much more athletic team than Muskingum has typically had, and for the most part, it's a young group.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been led by their star, Jarrell Marsh. He's the reigning OAC Freshman of the Year, now upping his game, scoring at 20 points per game. His best game actually this year came off that game against BW where he scored 31 points, so I look for him to build off that again today.
Jarrell Marsh, an impressive sophomore. His freshman teammate, Marcus Dempsey, has also been terrific. For Baldwin Wallace, they've had kind of an up and down year. Got off to a great start, but they enter today's game 8-8, and they're coming off a frustrating loss at John Carroll, a game they had a 7-point lead at halftime and lost by 15.
Yeah, the important thing is they get their leading guy back, Mike Kaminsky. He had struggled with a ankle injury, I believe, and they've come out really struggling without him. They were, I think, 3-7 in their last 10 games. So getting him back adds a little more experience. Definitely gives them a bigger body at that 4 position, the ability to rebound a little bit better. And he was shooting well from 3, about 43%. So I think that gives them an advantage today.
On top of what he does statistically, I talked with Jay Battle yesterday about what Mike Kaminsky does just being on the floor. And he said by far Mike is our most vocal guy, and he makes sure guys know where they're supposed to be defensively. They missed his presence big time, especially in critical defensive situations. So even if he doesn't have a gaudy game statistically, his leadership is a big difference maker.
You're absolutely right. He's a guy that anytime he steps on the floor, the team morale kind of boosts, and you said it, he gives them that defensive presence as well. So I look forward to him being back.
BW needs a big win, one they can hang their hat on as they start the second go-through in conference play. 9 down, 9 to go, and it hasn't gone the way BW drew it up so far, but they could avenge a big loss from earlier in the season with a win over Muskingum this afternoon. Starting lineups in the opening tip are just around the corner on BWYellowJackets.com. Time for the starting lineups as Baldwin Wallace and Muskingum get ready for their second opportunity to play each other here in the regular season. And we'll start with the visiting Fighting Muskies from New Concord, Ohio, just east of downtown Columbus. Muskingum sends sophomore guard Jalen Page from Vandalia Butler High School near the Dayton area. Page is having a nice season in his, again, sophomore year, almost 9 points and 3 rebounds per game. Jarrell Marsh, the reigning freshman of the year in the conference, sophomore guard from Cincinnati. He's a terrific scorer, over 20 per night. Joshua Keys, the senior forwards from the east side of Cleveland. He went to Shaw High School, a 6'7" senior forward. Freshman guard Marcus Dempsey, a tremendous young talent. He is shooting it at a really good clip for a young guy in this conference and scoring nearly 16 points per game. And senior forward Ricky Wilson. He's a 6'3" senior from Licking Valley High in Newark. Travis Schwab, the head coach. He's assisted by Joe Pugh, Alex Fultz, Isaiah Shakespeare, and Bob Weir. Muskingum 10-6 on the year, 4-5 in conference play. For the Yellow Jackets, they'll send senior guard Zach Brandy out to run the point. Brandy makes his 17th start of the regular season. Jay Battle, the sophomore from Gahanna Lincoln down in the Columbus area. Battle makes his 12th start. He's played much more meaningful minutes of late. Tyler Colombo, the freshman forward from Strasburg. Colombo makes just his 4th start of the year, but he's been really good lately. Cam Kuhn, the first-team all-conference performer from a year ago, a junior from Vermillion. And Jake Featherolf, the junior forward from Norwalk, rounds out the starting lineup. Tom Heil is second year as the leader of the program, with Brian Schmidt and Keonta Howell working with him. So it's Brandy, Battle, Colombo, Kuhn, and Featherolf for BW. And Muskingum sends Page, Marsh, Keys, Dempsey, and Wilson out to start the game. Most of these Muskies look like they do on the floor right now. Lanky, thin, but really athletic.
Absolutely. This is an offense that can absolutely explode. You've got two guys in Marsh and Dempsey that are averaging over 15 points a game. They can absolutely explode, and defensively you're going to have to get a handout to shooters and definitely have everyone boxing out in the paint because they can definitely rebound as well.
Jarrell Marsh and Cam Kuhn exchange a short, quick high five, sort of a nod of respect to each other. They are two of the most explosive scorers in the conference, and we are off and going. BW in white, it's Muskingum in black and red. Officials today, Brad Wilkins, Pat Egan, and Kevin Ha. Muskies won in overtime, 98-95 in New Concord, way back in December, on December 10th. Brandy scoops his way into the lane and gets the friendly roll. BW on the board first.
He's had a great past few games. Last game against John Carroll, he scored a team-high 15 points along with 3 of 3 from 3. Nice to see him get off to a good start here.
Jump shot is close to the basket from Ricky Wilson and in. We are all tied at 2. As the conference has started to take shape a little bit now that we're halfway through the OAC schedule, there's a 3-way tie for first place entering today. John Carroll, Marietta, and Ohio Northern all 7-2 at the outset as Featherolf got blocked from behind, but after the block, he got swatted across the face. I'm pretty sure Marcus Dempsey accidentally hit him, and Featherolf reacted like he got poked in the eye. He seems to be okay. It is BW basketball, no foul on the play. I mentioned Ohio Northern was one of those couple of teams tied for the OAC lead. They won at home against Mount Union earlier today, 86-75. So the Polar Bears are 8-2, and John Carroll plays Marietta. So there will only be 2 teams atop the OAC leaderboard at day's end. Brandy to Featherolf. He has to shoot it, and he never really got the opportunity. A shot clock violation gives it back to the Muskies.
You talked about it. The lankiness and athleticness of this defense is already really taken shape and shown to be profusely strong.
John Carroll leads Marietta at halftime, by the way, 44-37. Last time the Blue Streaks were in Marietta, they won the OAC championship in a really tight game last year. So we'll keep our eye on that one. This is a meaningful game for both of these two teams as Muskingum tries to get something going early. Ricky Wilson needs some help. He finds Joshua Keys, and Keys is off the mark. Jay Battle clears it away. Muskingum at 5th place in the conference. They're tied with Capital at 4-5. Battle gives to Featherolf, and he scores. Featherolf with an early basket. Mount Union's loss drops them to 6-4, but they will still be a fourth-place team in the conference at the end of the day. BW, the last to touch it as it goes out of bounds. It stays with the Muskies. Ohio Northern was a game clear of Mount Union, and Mount Union had a 2-game lead over Muskingum and Capital entering the day. So the Purple Raiders are still in fourth place despite their loss this afternoon. Inbounds pass nearly stolen by Battle. Instead, a 3-ball for Dempsey, and it's pure. 5-4 Muskies. Cam Kuhn watching Colombo roll to the basket. Instead takes it himself. Needs some help. So the freshman big man battles his way in there and banks one home.
Nice way to use his body to get past his defender and use that strength.
Ty Colombo has 2. Baldwin Wallace has traded wins and losses their last 4 games. That's their first win, snapped a 4-game losing streak. Right underneath the basket. How did that not go home for the senior Keys? It's 6'5 Jackets, but Keys is going to the free throw line here in just a moment. He was only a 68% shooter from the stripe, averaging a double-double on the year, though, 11 and 11. You know, it's kind of interesting. There were 2 points that I want to bring up. The first BW related. When they played Pitt Greensburg, the game after they played Muskingum, it was a really frustrating loss down in New Concord, and they buried Pitt Greensburg in a non-conference game. They hit 17 threes, which was 1 shy of a school record, and blew out Pitt Greensburg 121-59. And it looked like things were going to get better for BW. It just never materialized. Too many losses since that point as Featherolf has to get physical underneath, and Keys almost got a clean block.
Well, you talked about it. I mean, this team started off with 5 straight wins and eventually losing to Capital. I'm sorry. 4 straight wins, you're right. And then they had that loss to Marietta where they were even leading at halftime and then eventually lost by 20. But you're right. I mean, this team has unfortunately gone downhill since the start of the season. And unfortunately, it was after that Muskingum loss in overtime that really turned it around.
Featherolf misses the first. He's usually pretty good at the line, 79% this season. Jake was all-conference honorable mention last year, and he gives BW a 1-point lead. Meanwhile, Travis Schwab has turned around the whole culture in this Muskingum program. This was a program that rarely qualified for the OAC tournament at all throughout the decade. Nice move on his way to the rim, and Jarrell Marsh gives Muskingum their first lead of the game. Marsh is the kind of guy, even though he's only 6'4", he plays above the rim pretty well as a guard.
And it looks easy to him to score almost. The fluidness of his game just shines out.
Battle in rhythm 3, clanked it long off the iron. Opening 4 minutes of the game, kind of feeling each other out. Silky smooth move by Dempsey, but front of the rim unkind. BW did not have an advantage, so Brandy gave it back on the trail pass. And Featherolf can't finish. Too many misses here in the early part of this game from close by for BW. Into the right corner, Marsh for 3. It's too long. Brandy clears it away. Tom Heil is not particularly happy with the way Baldwin Wallace has started things. It's Mike Kaminsky, the upperclassman and forward, along with freshman point guard Michael Quiring waiting at the scorer's table. Cam Kuhn coming off of one of the least effective games of his career. And it's a turnover. Cam did not hit a single shot from the floor. 0 for 8 at John Carroll, finished with 1 point. Quiring and Kaminsky check in for Colombo and Featherolf. Brandy also actually, you know what? It's Brandy that came off for Quiring. Colombo is going to stay on the floor. But anyways, Cam Kuhn has to get going early today.
Yeah, absolutely. He hit the other 2 games. He scored 22 and 26 before the game at John Carroll. You kind of thought he was getting back into that scoring mentality for this team that was kind of struggling, but unfortunately just wasn't there to go 2 days ago, but hopefully today he gets it going.
Colombo tried to strip it cleanly, but instead he fouled Ricky Wilson. So BW's been a little bit over-aggressive here in the beginning of the game. 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes, and they've also turned it over a couple of times in kind of sloppy situations. It hasn't given Muskingum any points yet off those turnovers. Here comes Alex Nara, a freshman for his classmate Tyler Colombo. Tyler's continued to develop very nicely. That's not a knock on Nara, who's also played very well in his first year at BW. Wilson hits 1 out of 2.
Yeah, the injury to Kaminsky really gave both Nara and Colombo the chance to develop themselves and get a feel for this this team. And for a long time to come, I see them providing definitely a spark.
Nara, the turnaround left-handed runner, no good. And Battle, I think, was the last to hit it. Muskingum substitutes Andrew Robinson, the freshman from Mentor. It's on the east side of Cleveland. So he sees the floor for the first time. And a second sub as Marcus Dempsey returns. He'll spare Jarrell Marsh for a breather. Robbie Heisey, the senior from Bellbrook, is also out on the floor. Jalen Page will run the point. By the way, Joshua Glass is the 5th Muskie on the floor. Even though Page is a sophomore, he's pretty capable of scoring the basketball himself. 5'8", he's the shortest guy on the roster. But he can really stick his nose in there, and he handles the ball well. 9 on the shot clock. Face up, Heisey, good. Muskingum leads the game 11-7. First basket for Robbie Heisey. Firing finds Kaminsky. Let's see what kind of comfort level he has early in the game. He's got a really good mismatch that favors him there. And even though it didn't look like it came out of his hand well, he scored over the top of Page.
Might have been the easiest basket he'll have all year. Nice, easy one to get him going.
Robinson gives the right side to Glass. Now Dempsey. Kuhn nearly fouled him. On the hesitation dribble, Dempsey finds his way to the rack. So far, Muskingum is getting just about everything they want. They've hit 5 of 9 shots, and most of them are from close by. Kaminsky for 3, just off the mark. Nara tried to tip it, and it's off of the Muskies. Here comes Wes Gerhardt and Kyle Nader as Jay Battle and Cam Kuhn take a seat. You can kind of tell with Cam's body language, he is obviously capable.
Absolutely.
But sometimes it just gets into his head if he doesn't get off to a good start. Cam had a 51-point game last year against Mount Union. He certainly can score in buckets.
I think you're absolutely right. It kind of gets into his head when it is not falling early, and then eventually it gets into his head in the second half. And we've seen some of the collapses that this team has had offensively in the second half, and I think it's partially because of that.
Wiring back to Gerhardt, who chucks up a triple. It's no good. BW 0 for 3 from deep. Nice play by Jarrell Marsh. It goes back to Muskingum on a good athletic effort. Travis Schwab pacing the sideline. He had his hands in his pockets for a little bit. Fairly calm demeanor. And again, I don't think you can really understate how impressive Muskingum has been this year after several years of just being really uncompetitive.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This team has had an utter turnaround, and it's been great to see for just the overall competition in the OAC. It's great to see these teams build off what they've had as we see Marsh get an easy floater in the lane.
Marsh having a nice game so far. Give him 4, and it's a 6-point lead for Muskingum. Kaminsky underneath. Beautiful feed from Nara. Back to a 4-point affair. Mike Kaminsky with 4 points in the first 8 minutes of action. Muskingum's hit 6 of their first 10 shots. BW 4 of 10 so far. Those 2 buckets, the difference. 3-ball right side, and Glass is pure. 18-11 on Joshua Glass's first 3. Senior from Solon, another steal. This time Joshua Keys the takeaway. Marsh underneath, and a foul on the floor. Should go on Nara. So BW's hanging in there, but Muskingum is basically just making the most of their opportunities. BW's had good looks, but the Muskies are putting them in.
I mean, offensively, this is definitely one of the most talented Muskie teams that we've seen in a long time. They're long, athletic, and they're not afraid to shoot the ball. So I give them credit. They're knocking down shots and giving what the BW defense is giving them.
Wilson back in the game. He receives a pass after inbounding it, and then lobs it up top there to Jarrell Marsh. Nearing the midway point of the first half, Fighting Muskies by 7. Sick move into the middle of the paint. I don't know how it didn't go in. Sat on the side of the rim for Glass. Just didn't get it to roll home for him. Nader looked like he was going to pull up for a jump shot, instead a skip pass. Now the former Lakewood High standout, Wes Gerhardt, missing at the rim. Dempsey, no good. No touch on that one. And the Muskingum Muskies retreat back defensively. This is probably a group for Muskingum on the floor right now that has a little bit of an advantage. See where BW tries to work the ball. 5 good athletes out there right now for the Muskies. It's the 4th Yellow Jacket turnover. Good active hands on defense, and Featherolf got his hand in the passing lane. The fact of the matter is, if you let your opponent hit 7 of 12 shots at the early part of the game, it's hard to have a lead. BW probably fortunate to be down only 7. Great move down the side of the paint. Marsh missed at the rim. Keys there for the putback, and it's 20-11 Muskingum.
Marsh is just such an easy creator. He gets into the lane almost effortlessly. And again, he draws the whole defense to him, which left Keys for the easy layup.
Alex Nara working on Wilson. Gives down to Featherolf. Couple of fakes. And Keys was able to get his fingertips on it, sending it to a teammate. Now Marsh in transition. Muskingum beat the Yellow Jackets in New Concord when they shot 53%. And I have to imagine some of them were from that close to the rim, because right now Jarrell Marsh is just having his way. All 6 of his points have come from nearby, and it's quickly getting out of hand. 22-11 Muskingum. Featherolf stops the bleeding with a 3 from right at the top of the arc. Back to an 8-point contest. Marsh looking left. What ball control. And then he dribbled into traffic and lost it. But it stays on this half of the floor with a foul. Well, so far, Muskingum's not doing much that we didn't expect to see from them. Kuhn, Colombo, and Brandy will look like they're all going to return, but Muskingum wants a 30-second timeout, so we'll just reset the lineup for you when we get back. 9:24 left in the opening half, and it's the Muskies on the road by 8 on BWYellowJackets.com. Muskingum's hit 9 of 16 shots from the floor, led by Jarrell Marsh with an early 6 points. And it's the Muskies on top 22-14 at Baldwin Wallace. Brendan Gulick with you alongside Eric Kwiatkowski as Marcus Dempsey lays one in. He continues a nice start. He's now got a game-high 7, and it's 24-14. Tyler Colombo back off the bench after the stoppage, and he misses from nearby the can. Wilson in rhythm triple. Was a little too long, and then a foul on Muskingum after the fact.
BW is lucky he didn't make that one. Ricky Wilson, the second best three-point shooter in the OAC, right behind BW Zach Brandy, shooting at about 51%.
You just can't leave a guy that prone to putting it in from distance that wide open. as it stands. Just the second foul on Muskingum and the first on Robbie Heisey. Quiring, Featherall, Brandy, Colombo, and Kuhn. The 5 on the floor for the men in white. Kuhn really had to muscle his way to the rack, and he is going to shoot 2 free throws here in a moment. Still not like Cam Kuhn, though, in the sense that even when he's driving to the basket, he's fading away a lot. Usually you see him, despite his relatively small stature, usually you see him driving hard at the rim.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's great at drawing contact and usually he likes to use that spin move to get in the lane. But I think right now his best bet is to get to the line like he's doing right now and see that ball go in the net twice, as we see there. Just try and get him going offensively. It's been a struggle.
Cam Kuhn with his first 2 points, both from the free throw line. Wilson on Colombo is an interesting matchup for Muskingum. Jacob Geller, the lanky 6'6" freshman, who doesn't look like he weighs more than 200 pounds, is in there. Wilson up and in. Wilson is getting in a nice rhythm here in the first half. He's got 5.
As soon as one of their stars steps off the floor, it seems like another one comes aboard and lights the spark for this team offensively.
And Muskingum's had a couple of good wins, we've mentioned. They've also had a couple really ugly losses. They got their doors blown off by Marietta earlier this year, 100-64. Colombo in the low paint has to get a little stronger. He had a chance, no good. They also, Muskingum has lost their last 2 at home against Ohio Northern last Saturday, and then they fell at Mount Union by 3 on Wednesday night. 3-ball right wing, and it's good again. Jacob Geller that time on the triple, and it's Muskingum on top, 29-16. Tom Heil wants a timeout, and we'll step aside along with him. 7:32 left to go in the first half, and the Muskies have gotten off to a baker's dozen lead on BWYellowJackets.com. All right, back on the hard court where Jay Battle brings the ball up the floor for BW. Yellow Jackets 6 of 16 shooting the basketball early. They've turned it over 4 times already in the first half, and Battle is going to shoot a couple of free throws. Mike Kaminsky will return for the Yellow Jackets after the foul got whistled on Andrew Robinson. Jay Battle going to try and make the most of his opportunity to shoot free throws. A history major that wants to become a high school teacher and potentially a principal someday. He spoke fondly of his time as a young guy down in the Columbus area. And Battle hits them both. 2 big free throws for BW. They can't afford to leave points at the free throw line, especially considering they're still down by 11 points. Jalen Page, crossover on Brandy, turns around and misfires. It looked good, but he couldn't finish.
Yeah, sweet move to get to the rim as well.
Battle nearly threw it away. Brandy alertly saves it in front of Muskingum's bench. Brandy looking for some help. One of the best competitors on this team is Cam Kuhn. Finishes from just outside the paint. Tom Heil made the comment earlier this week that he loves the kind of work ethic and competitive nature that Zach Brandy brings to the table. On top of the fact that he's a senior.
Yep.
So the guy just works his tail off. His Featherall swats one away.
Yeah, he's a guy that's definitely been around the block. Gives this team a little bit more experience. As we see Fedorov on a pick and pop, missing that 3. he's just a guy that, you know, goes out there and does what the team asks. You know, he's a competitor, he plays hard and does his job.
Nifty move in the middle of the lane by Marsh. Splits 2 defenders and then scoops it underneath the third. He's got 8.
Hard to believe.
Draws a few whistles in the crowd. You're right.
Yeah.
Not playing like an underclassman as Jay
Absolutely
Battle misses, gets his own rebound and capitalizes that time. 31-22, BW down by 9. They're not really closing the gap after Muskingum went on a nice little spurt in the middle part of the first half. Dempsey raises and hits nothing but net. Muskingum 14 of 24 from the floor so far. Kaminsky to the far side. Sets the screen and rolls away from Brandy. Bounces it to Featheroff. Jake just decided to go right over the top of Robbie Heisey.
I think Heisey thought he was going to dish it off, but Featheroff just went right over the top of him.
Muskingum seems pretty content to try and play in the half court. Geller gives it free. Dempsey with tremendous ball control. Turns around. And the extra step for Robbie Heisey puts it in. Back and forth, these teams trade baskets. Featheroff wants a triple. Popped away, no good. Under 5 minutes to go in the first half, and it's Muskingum on the road by 11. Marsh for 3. Nice job by Featheroff, really getting after it on the boards. He's got 5 rebounds along with his 8 points.
Yeah, Featheroff's going to have to be that guy down low right now, especially with Keys out of the ball game. He's going to have to dominate that glass.
Muskingum is shooting it at a 58% clip. Kaminsky not fouled, but banks it in anyways. This is gut check time for the Yellow Jackets. Page gives to Dempsey. Battle, one of the best on-ball defenders on the team. Good job denying him there. Little hesitation dribble and a finish by Heisey. Timeout, Muskingum. The Muskies want a full timeout. Coach Schwab must see something that he wants to adjust, because his team has done a really good job answering BW's every score.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we talked about trading baskets. You really can't do that at this point if you're BW. They're scoring well at this moment, but that Muskie offense has just been obviously too much for them to handle defensively.
3:27 left in the first half. It's the Muskies by 11. Out of the timeout, Baldwin Wallace is hoping to close the final 3:27 of the first half on some sort of high note. They have not played that badly, but Muskingum has come to play this afternoon, and they've got an 11-point lead late in the first half. Cam Kuhn goes to work, swatted out of the way by Keys. Kuhn pounces on it and calls timeout. 30-second timeout BW. Good effort by Cam Kuhn. Well, we'll keep it here. Let's talk a little bit about how things are going around the conference this afternoon. With 8 minutes left in the second half, Marietta leads John Carroll 61-57. as the Pioneers try to avenge a early season loss to the Blue Streaks. Ohio Northern beat Mount Union 86-75. So that means Ohio Northern is 8-2, and either John Carroll or Marietta will improve to 8-2. Capital and Otterbein don't play until 7 o'clock tonight. Wilmington currently trails Heidelberg 51-46. It's a matchup between the bottom two teams in the OAC. And both teams are fighting for playoff relevancy at this point. Still a lot of time left, but on the other side of the coin, there's only 4 weeks left. Battle's open, quick trigger. Too short. Kaminsky is fouled and almost looked like his leg gave out from underneath him. Glad to see he was okay.
Yeah, it's scary to see, especially after coming off an ankle injury. You just want to get your feet under you that first game.
Foul's on the floor, so no free throws coming. Here comes Ricky Wilson off the floor and Jacob Geller back out there. Battle usually serves as the inbounder. He just throws one back deep in the forecourt. Nara slashing his way to the paint, gives it free. Brandy threw up a wild shot with 22 seconds on the shot clock. Was not a veteran move. Dempsey crosses him over. And an offensive foul. Jarrell Marsh pushed off.
Yeah, he was caught extending that arm.
It's not a foul you typically see called when there's that little contact, but by the letter of the law, probably the right decision.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, you see the stars in the NBA not given those calls usually. I think maybe it was one of those cases.
Cam Kuhn is having a much quieter afternoon against Muskingum today. Quiring's pump fake drew 2 defenders, and he dumps it underneath to Nara for an easy bucket. First points for Alex Nara. Kuhn hit 12 of 25 shots at Muskingum back in December, as we get 2 free throws coming. 31-point effort, even though he only hit 2 of 10 threes. But Kuhn today with just 4 points in the first 18 minutes of the game. So Jacob Geller going to the stripe, and the tall right-hander misses the first. BW Yellow Jacket basketball this afternoon brought to you by the Oriole Cafe. Great place for sports. Located at 294 North Rocky River Drive, just up the street from Baldwin Wallace's campus. Appreciate the Orioles' support of our BW web streams this year. Geller's second free throw missed 2. It's still 37-28. A rare double miss. What can the Yellow Jackets do in the final 2 minutes to tighten this one up? Kuhn gives to Colombo. Back to Kaminsky in rhythm. No good. Quiring the offensive rebound, and it fell off the front of the rim. No good. Wow. How did that miss? And Page makes it hurt. After a 2-point miss on one side, a quick 3 the other way. It's a 5-point swing.
Unfortunately, those are just ones you have to put away. It was an easy one, and against this team, you can't let them get extra opportunities like that.
Blocking foul whistled against Dempsey. The Muskies bench reacted thinking that Battle had committed the offensive foul. Pretty good crowd on hand here this afternoon. Both sides of the gymnasium are filling up nicely. The student section is in full force, but they are a quiet bunch.
Yeah, not much to cheer about.
Not giving BW much of a home court advantage either. Jake Featheroff returns. Good effort by Kaminsky. I think he's played well so far this afternoon and doesn't seem to be favoring that left ankle at all after the couple of weeks he missed.
Yeah, like I said, the first game is kind of just getting your feet back under you. You know, this game, especially at this level, is a fast-paced one and one you have to get back used to. So it's good to see him back on the floor.
Battle has 6. Dempsey misses from 7 feet away. 1 minute left in the first half. Colombo. Good open look for Battle, and he makes all 3 of them count. The Yellow Jackets are making it a little tighter. 7-point affair.
You can see they put a Battle on Marsh now instead of Kuhn.
Open look for Geller, and he clanks it off the front. Shot clock is 4 seconds behind the game clock, and Kuhn miscommunicated with Jay Battle. (40-33). Muskingum doesn't have to hold for the last shot because technically the shot clock is 1 second behind the game clock. But they could choose to work this down as long as they want. Tom Isle, hands on his hips on the far sideline. Just frustrated with the way this first half has played out. Too many unforced errors for Baldwin Wallace. Waning seconds in the first half. Marsh back to Dempsey. His 3 is off. Kuhn gives to Quiring, and Dempsey intercepts the pass. That shot was not off in time. That was an ugly end of the first half for Baldwin Wallace, and yet they are only down by 7. It's 40-3 as the Jackets go into the halftime locker room trying to figure out how to solve this athletic Muskingum offensive attack.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I thought actually before that last couple of minutes they played pretty well. Unfortunately, the turnovers have cost them. They've had 6 turnovers so far, not directly leading to points for Muskingum, only 3 points off turnovers, but it's just one of those momentum things. I think they definitely could have gone into the half at a better rate.
Well, the Jackets are allowing their opponents today to shoot 57%. That's just not going to get it done. They've got to draw up something defensively here at halftime. BW trails by 7. It's 40-33, Muskingum on top. Second half action coming up in about 15 minutes on BWYellowJackets.com. Just about to start the second half at Baldwin Wallace with the Yellow Jackets trailing at home 40-33. Eric, your thoughts on the first half in which Muskingum shot the basketball at a really high clip?
You said it. I was very impressed by the talent of this Muskingum offense, shooting 54% from the field. And I think that's even a little deflated because they missed a few shots there at the end that they probably should have made. They've taken care of the basketball, which has been great for them. Only to play in the second half.
Yeah, one turnover in 20 minutes. BW needs to step up their efforts defensively because on top of the fact they only caused one turnover, they let somebody score at better than 1 out of every 2.
Yep.
It's hard to win a game when you do that. So hopefully the defensive energy is better here in half number 2. Dempsey protected the ball well, pinned it against his body and missed at the rim, but still a good effort. Let's see if the Jackets can draw first blood. BW, despite the fact that Quiring missed a wide open layup and Page went down and quickly hit a 3.
Yep.
That looked like an ugly swing, but BW did actually close the gap a little bit
And
in the end of the first half.
yeah, it's sorry to cut you off, but even when Cam threw the ball off the back of Jay Battle, that was another opportunity that they had and missed. So definitely a swing that the Jackets could have had.
Joshua Keys' length just forced a miss from Battle. Jay had to throw it high off the top of the rim. Page off the mark on that triple. He's 1 of 2 now from deep. And the score holds. It's a 7-point game. Cam Kuhn from the left elbow. He did not score much in the first half, just 4 points and misses on his first attempt in half number 2. 1 of 4 shooting the ball today, 4 rebounds. Marsh gets the runner. And BW surrenders the first points of the second half. 10 points for Marsh, first player for either team in double figures. And he is as good as advertised. Brandy for 3. That did not look good coming out of his hand. It missed the rim entirely.
It looked like he rushed it a little bit.
Bricked off the side of the backboard. Dempsey off the screen, pops in, or rather Wilson scores. So it's 44-33. 7 for Wilson. Battle with little room to work decides to hoist, and Muskingum was content with letting him shoot from there. Colombo's offensive putback missed from right underneath. 11-point game on the pick and roll. A nice easy bucket. And Joshua Keys gives Muskingum a 6-0 start to the second half. BW's 7-point hole has grown to 13. Featherolf catch and shoot, and he got it. Such a pure shot, the rim holds most of the net on a up and under. Featherolf's playing okay. He's got 11 points. It's his second 3-ball. 7 rebounds, more than anybody else for either team. Page passes away to Wilson. It's probably a mismatch against Colombo.
Yeah.
Now Dempsey, and a foul on Colombo.
That's tough. It looked like pretty good defense, and yeah, it definitely looked like Dempsey used the off arm to get a little bit of space. So tough call there on Colombo.
Not used to seeing Michael Quiring held off the scoreboard either. Freshman 0 for 1 shooting the basketball in limited minutes. So Colombo picks up his second. Page was still standing on the baseline. And so a turnover for Muskingum. That's a silly mistake. Well, this place feels a lot more like a library than a gymnasium right now. It's a 10-point game, and it's not that close. Battle, no good. Muskingum, another one and done defensively. Dempsey gives to a trailing Keys, the flush. 48-36. BW's taking one on the chin this afternoon. Still not out of reach, only a 12-point game as Cam Kuhn muscles his way into the paint to draw the foul from Wilson.
He's really trying to get anything to go that he really can. He's struggling offensively. Just, I think, like I said in the first half, seeing that ball go through the net at the free throw line is going to be the easiest shot he's going to get.
Well, maybe it's starting to get into his head a little bit as he misfires on the first. Cam is such a competitor, and you can't blame him for wanting to make the difference single-handedly. Sometimes tries to do a little too much as he gets 1 out of 2. Anyways, it's almost final down in Marietta. Looks like the Pioneers are probably going to hang on to beat John Carroll. They've got a 7-point lead with 20 seconds left. It's not over quite yet. How did Muskingum not turn it over twice there? They work it back down to Keys. Need some help. Keys, no good. Boy, the ball movement, though, was really good from Muskingum that whole possession.
Yeah, very impressive defensive rotation there. They got out to all the shooters and were prepared for almost anything.
Cam Kuhn into the lane, and the runner goes. John Carroll hit a three-pointer and then immediately fouled. The Blue Streaks are down 4 with 7 seconds left, and Marietta's at the free throw line, so the Pioneers should be able to put it away. And Marietta and Ohio Northern would be the top 2 teams in the conference, tied at 8-2 if they can hold on. Keys banks it in. Joshua Keys is getting some aggressive looks. He's got 9 points in the game, and it's been a good start to the second half for him. Yeah,
he's a great competitor both defensively and offensively. He loves to dominate that paint.
Keys already with 6 in the second half. Featheroff, a fadeaway 3, no. Colombo needs to pull the rebound down instead of try to keep tipping it up in the air. Keys was blocked by Jay Battle, and it becomes a free throw opportunity. Marietta hit 1 of 2 free throws. And the Pioneers called a timeout, so after they hit the second free throw, John Carroll does have the basketball. It's a 5-point game down in Marietta. Keys connects on the first, 51-40. Like Kaminsky, Michael Quiring both back out on the floor. Dempsey, Glass, Keys. All in, right around the paint as that one goes. Davon Pert. First time we've seen the sophomore guard. He just checked in. Young man wears number 13. He's playing defensively right now on Cam Kuhn. The shot goes up. It's no good. They may have taken a point off the board for BW. There's a 3 in the right corner, and it's up and good. It was 52-40, at least that's what I thought. Maybe there was a 3 ball that they overruled and made it a 2-pointer.
Yeah.
No, it's 55-39. Jay Battle. Swatted by Keys' elbow. Pert slowing things down with Dempsey in the forecourt. Oh, what a move, and then blocked by Featheroff. Dempsey created space, but Featheroff didn't give up on the play.
Couple great back-to-back defensive efforts by both teams.
Kaminsky for 3. No foul, no good. A lot of contact as Kaminsky went crashing to the hard court. Quiring tried to poke it away from Pert. And Muskingum resets things. 6 and change into the second half. And it's all Muskingum right now. In the right corner. Not a bad move by Glass. Although Jarrell Marsh seems to be in a ton of pain. And the officials call for a timeout. Marsh is down on the floor and not really moving around very much. This does not look like a routine injury, so we'll step aside while he's attended to, hoping Marsh is okay, maybe just has the wind knocked out of him. Don't want to speculate, though, and
looks like he'll
have a chance to catch his breath. Muskingum on top in the early part of the second half. Jarrell Marsh was able to walk off the floor, but he needed some help and was very gingerly favoring that left leg. Don't know if it was a knee or an ankle injury, but he is sitting over on the bench at the moment. It's going to put more pressure on Peart, who takes his spot on the floor. We also just saw Andrew Robinson check in. Michael Quiring up and in for two. Quiring makes it a 14-point game. First basket of the game for the freshman point guard.
Yeah, not usually something you see.
Peart and Glass exchange passes. Glass raises and missed it. A rare open missed three. Michael Quiring working against Peart. Got him on the right hip, gave to Nara, who lays it over the front with a finger roll. 55-43. That's 4 for Alex Nara. And a timeout called for by the Muskies. 12:42 left in the second half. Muskingum out in front. Baldwin Wallace and Muskingum this afternoon continue in the middle part of the second half. Alongside Eric Kwiatkowski, I'm Brendan Gulick. Muskingum has shot the ball at a 55% clip. And when you're on the road and shoot that well, usually good things happen. Peart underneath, silky smooth. BW seems like they're getting caught watching Muskingum's athleticism here this afternoon. And Tom Heil can only sit on the edge of his seat in frustration.
Yeah, you thought maybe with Marsh going down for the bit that he did, that the offense and defense would have picked up a little bit for BW, but that hasn't been the case.
Nara, spin move, and free throws coming. Good effort there from Alex Nara. Muskies hit 17 of 31 in the first half. In the second half, they've hit 6 of their first 11. It's been no letdown at all. Nara's first free throw bricks to the right. It's been a bad second half for Baldwin Wallace. They just can't get it going today. And a lot of that is their inability for their leader, Cam Kuhn, to step up and make shots this afternoon. Marietta did finish off John Carroll, so the Pioneers and Polar Bears from Ohio Northern are both 8-2. John Carroll third in the conference at 7-3. Mount Union at 6-4 is in fourth place. With a win, Muskingum could solidify a fifth place standing, but they'll have to wait and see how Capital plays later tonight. Capital doesn't tip off with Otterbein until 7 o'clock. 57-44. Gerhardt poked it away. Can he stay with it? Nice job blocking out Peart. And then Peart was able to get his hand on it in transition. They reverse the call. It goes back to the Muskies. Heidelberg and Wilmington on the men's side are playing down in Quaker country. It is a very close game with just a couple of minutes left. Wilmington leads 84-82. Well, not going to make an excuse for Dempsey there. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, it looked like he just maybe tripped over his own foot or slipped on a sweat spot on the floor maybe, but.
Jake Featheroff returns. Mike Kaminsky has a seat. BW down 13. The halftime deficit was 7. And Muskingum quickly scored the first 6 points of the second half and put BW basically on its heels. They played an even game ever since. Featheroff, no good on the three, too short by quite a bit. Marcus Dempsey, a freshman guard who, in my opinion, is one of the best freshmen we've seen in the conference all year. That kid can play.
Absolutely. Pair him up with Keys and Marsh, and you got quite a trio.
Page denied at the rim. Gerhardt coming the way for BW. A bad turnover. I mean, I don't think it's out of line to say that in the next couple of years, as this very young and athletic Muskingum team continues to develop, they could very seriously contend for a conference title.
Absolutely. You can see the talent level is there. I mean, it's honestly just the experience of playing more games and getting to know your team that's going to put them over the top.
Quiring explodes to the rim for 2. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you the last time Muskingum made the NCAA tournament, if ever, but it has been a very long time. The last 20 years in this conference have basically belonged to a couple of schools. The foul gives free throws to the Muskies. John Carroll and Marietta have basically been the OAC Titans along with Capital, and a couple of good years from the Yellow Jackets, though they've only won one OAC championship in the regular season. And the Yellow Jackets won the OAC tournament in both 05 and 06. Heidelberg's had a couple of good teams. Wilmington's had a couple of good teams, but the consistent runs from John Carroll under head coach Mike Moran, who is retiring at the end of this year, and what John Vanderwall and Damon Goodwin have done at Capital and at Marietta have made it very difficult for schools like Muskingum to recruit because they just haven't competed at a high level. And I think you have to give a ton of credit to Travis Schwab. In my mind right now, he's the coach of the year in the conference, and their team's under 500.
Yeah, it goes so much farther than just coaching basketball. It's the recruitment, it's the type of program you want to build, and he's done it the right way, and I can see them definitely being a powerhouse upcoming in the next few years.
58-46. Marsh, good to see him back out on the floor. He made a nice play there. And Dempsey, I guess he's human after all. More than halfway through the second half, and it has not gotten any better for the Jackets tonight. Gerhardt has to hit this, and he does. The Yellow Jackets are alive, but barely breathing right now. Page, good hedge by Featherall. Marsh, the behind the back dribble, finds Wilson. Sky-scraping three, no good.
Nice
and
rebound.
Dylan Nito decides he wants to rip it away. His first action of the game, former St. Ignatius Wildcat. Quiring gets the screen from Colombo. Hesitation. And Featherall and Nito just miscommunicated. You can kind of see the frustration on the faces of some of the upperclassmen for BW, and that usually doesn't translate to a lot of success. Featherall and Kuhn in particular today have just not had particularly positive body language. Hopefully they can get on the same page soon. Page was nearly tackled in the paint. Instead, it's Marsh for 2. (60-49). Marsh has 12. Nito. Featherall for three. Yes! 60-52.
The offense has finally started to hit some threes. Before that, they were 3 of 16 from three-point range. Now they're 4 of 18, building it back up a little bit.
Jarred away by Gerhardt. It's loose on the floor and goes to Baldwin Wallace. Wes Gerhardt, the hero for the moment. Michael Quiring leaves the floor. Gerhardt gets to stay after that really nice effort. 60-52. Man-to-man defense all game from the Muskies. Nito.
Nice
Great move into the paint. Jackets only down by 6. 13-5 run, and they've climbed back in, and Muskingum wants a timeout. Travis Schwab is hot. Will step aside. BW down 6 here at home. Muskingum 60, Baldwin Wallace 54 at the first horn. It's a 6-point game. It's starting to tighten up here a little bit, Eric.
Yeah, they picked up their defense, definitely going after loose balls, grabbing big defensive rebounds, and they started to hit the three. A couple back-to-back threes from Fedorov and Gerhardt have gotten them right back in this game.
There's a good game going on down in Wilmington. Heidelberg's Chris Moxley hit a layup to tie the game at 87 with 6 seconds left. DJ Isles for the Quakers had a three-pointer to win it at the buzzer and missed. So they are going to overtime in Wilmington between the 9th and 10th place teams in the league, who are both desperate for a win here today. Gerhardt poked the ball free cleanly, but Dempsey somehow drew a foul. All right, so Gerhardt picks up his first, team 4th. Just a 6-point game. BW with 4 timeouts left. Muskingum only has 2 remaining. Dempsey. He's had himself a really nice afternoon. Jarrell Marsh gives it away to Jalen Page. To the right side now, Dempsey. And he carried the basketball. An unforced turnover gives it back to BW. And here come the Yellow Jackets. Gerhardt out there with Nito, Colombo, Battle, and Kaminsky. No Featherolf, no Kuhn, no Quiring on the floor right now. Battle open for 3. Little long, and Dylan Nito runs down the rebound. Nito is playing really well in his minutes off the bench this afternoon. Gerhardt saw a crease, just didn't go in. Colombo fighting and finished. It's a 4-point game.
This bench mob is just almost outworking the starters here for Muskingum.
Wilson fouled before he put the shot up.
Yeah, very smart play to get it on the floor.
BW starting to figure this out a little bit. It was 48-37. A couple minutes later, they were still down by 12. They trailed by as many as 16 in the second half at 55-39. But here we are with the Jackets down only 4 with just over 6 minutes to go. Great work by Nito and Colombo. Hope they both stay ready.
Yep.
Kuhn and Featherolf back in there with Battle, Gerhardt, and Kaminsky. Marsh into the middle, blocked by Featherolf at the rim. Kaminsky pulls away the loose ball. Yellow Jackets are starting to play like they really want this one. Cam Kuhn, he's only got 7 points today. Kaminsky, too strong. Kuhn 2 of 4 shooting, 3 of 4 from the free throw line. Dempsey, straight up in the air, no call. Into Battle in the forecourt, and he missed the layup. Jay Battle's only hit 2 out of 11 shots this afternoon, and that one hurts the most. Still a 4-point game. Page gives away to Dempsey. Right side, Marsh pulls up with a hand in his grill, and that was not a good-looking shot, but Keys grabbed the offensive rebound. Marsh, another try, threw it off of Kaminsky. It bobbled back to him, and he put in a lucky shot. 56-62, Marsh has 14. Missed a few minutes with an injury, but has returned. Kaminsky from 18 puts it home. 62-58. Kaminsky with 8 points. A great return to action for him. Brandy waiting to check in for BW. Wilson through the right side. Kaminsky defends that so well. Back into the corner. 10 on the shot clock. Keys back to Wilson. 5 to shoot. Too strong. Kaminsky grabs it for BW. Under 4 minutes to go. Genesis Battle passes to the right side.
Kaminsky's got a mismatch down low.
Gerhardt for 3, just popped free, and Kaminsky hits the deck really hard. Slow to get up. Dempsey in transition, fouled by Battle. Mike Kaminsky felt like he had his legs taken out from underneath him and couldn't believe there was no whistle.
Almost looked like he did. He had Jalen Page right underneath him. It almost looked like he almost fell on top of him.
3 fouls on Jay Battle, who's having a tough afternoon. 1 of 6 shooting the 3 ball. Great minutes from Gerhardt. He leaves as the senior Zach Brandy returns. And now Michael Quiring comes in for Jay Battle. This is probably Tom Heil's most trusted group.
Absolutely.
But his depth today helped his team get back in the game. It's good. 63-58. Heidelberg leads Wilmington 94-91 in overtime with 3 minutes to go in the only other active game in conference. Brandy, Featherolf exchanging passes up top. And a foul as Featherolf tried to get it to Quiring. Looks like it goes on Davon Parrott. Cam Kuhn tucks the ball, and Keys blocks it into the backboard. Good presence by Keys, just kind of waiting that one out.
Yeah, that's going to be his 5th block already of this game. He's definitely a defensive presence down low.
Wilson bounces to the corner, gets it right back. Under 3 minutes to go. Good defense on the denial for the back door, but it turns into 2 anyways on the Keys jumper. Back to a 7-point effort. 13 now for Keys. Brandy lulls Page to sleep. Back to Kuhn for three. Cam Kuhn. 65-61.
You talked about having trust in your experienced guys, and when experienced players come in big situations, they hit big shots, and that's exactly what this Yellow Jackets team needed from Cam Kuhn right there.
Muskingum leads by 4. They led by 16 early in the second half. Baldwin Wallace has played hard here in half number 2, but they have not led this game since very early on. A 6-5 lead, and that was the last time they were out front. Shot missed up top by Page, loose on the right side. Keys is pestered, and Muskingum keeps it with under 2 minutes to go. Both teams, for different reasons, desperate for a win this afternoon. Sick pass underneath, but Keys can't hit the bunny. He's going to shoot 2 free throws anyways after he caught a BB from Jarrell Marsh. Featheroff leads BW with 14 points and 8 rebounds. Jay Battle has 9 points, but he's 2 of 12 shooting. Kaminsky has 8, 7 for Cam Kuhn. Everybody for BW today that's played has scored, except for Kyle Nader, who's been on the floor for only a minute or 2. And the free throws are critical late. First one is good. Who's going to step up for the Yellow Jackets with 1:41 left? Too long. Rebound pulled in by Battle. BW has 4 timeouts left. They're down by 5. Battle fouled before shooting, just the 4th foul on Muskingum. So just a baseline inbound coming. White knuckler and Berea. Battle.
Nice
puts
move.
it in. Great move along the underside. 66-63, Jay Battle has 11. Wilson on the right wing. 1:07 to go. For the first time all game, it's starting to get loud in here. Page, 4 to shoot it. Has to hurry. He got his opponent, Brandy, off balance, but then missed the shot. BW could tie it with a 3. Battle almost lost the handle. Kuhn comes to it, explodes to the rim, and then lost the ball, and he's begging for a timeout. The Jackets get it. Wow. 12 on the shot clock, 32 seconds to play. I'll be honest, with the way things had gone, did not expect this game to get tight late, but BW has showed a lot of heart.
Absolutely, they picked it up defensively, made it tough on this Muskie offense to really get going. They forced some turnovers, gotten some easy looks, and made them count.
Baldwin Wallace has only hit 5 of 21 threes in the ball game. Jake Featheroff with 3 of those 5. Battle and Gerhardt have the others.
It's no time to be shy, though, that's for sure.
You don't need a 3.
No, definitely not.
But if you get an open look, take it.
And especially with the way the Muskie big men shoot free throws, there's definitely that opportunity to where they can get a quick 2 and hope for a miss at the free throw line.
Actually, I beg your pardon, they've hit 6 of 22 from 3, not 5 of 21. But either way,
yeah, it's been a struggle.
It has not been the kind of day that BW is used to. Jackets with 3 timeouts left. Muskingum has 2 stoppages left in their back pocket. Hope you're enjoying our coverage of Yellow Jacket basketball this afternoon. The ladies with a decisive win, 76-58 earlier. And the men are trying to claw their way back to a come-from-behind win after Muskingum beat BW 98-95 in overtime back in earlier December. Again, 12 to shoot as Quiring looks to inbound to Featheroff right at the rim. Timeout, Yellow Jackets. Hardly any time at all came off the clock. Featheroff has 16. That was a great design.
Absolutely. That's one of the simplest plays in basketball, the alley-oop, and with the strength and athleticism of Featheroff, it was just an easy drop-in. So
BW trails by 1 point. The game hasn't been this tight since early in the first half. BW's played from a double-digit hole most of the game. They have found a way to climb back in here today. Last 5 games for BW have been rotates, or I should say, let's go last 4 games.
Yep.
Rotations between losses and wins. They had lost 4 in a row, Capital, Adrian, Rose-Hulman, and Mount Union, before beating Wilmington, losing at Ohio Northern, beating Otterbein, and losing at John Carroll. The fact of the matter is, BW's played pretty well at home. They've won their last 2 home conference games and 3 of their last 4 home conference games. The only conference losses in Berea this year, they lost here in the conference opener against the 4th-ranked Marietta Pioneers, and they've lost to the Capital Crusaders in a ball game the Capital played pretty well as well. Big sequence coming up. The shot clock is on, but of course there's only 0.8 difference. Nito will guard the inbound. He is just fine with no fouls if they have to do that. Dempsey maintained his dribble but was fouled going up the floor. So Baldwin Wallace is choosing to play the free throw game here. That brings Dempsey to the stripe for a 1-and-1 after the first foul on Brandy. All right, so Kuhn, Quiring, Brandy, Featheroff, and Battle remain on the floor.
Yeah, substituting back in defense for offense.
Dempsey 74% from the stripe. Today, 1 of 2. First one is perfect. So he earns another chance. The shot clock is now off as Kaminsky comes in for Zach Brandy. Tom Hyo more concerned with making sure his team grabs a rebound here, so he puts another big man in. It's up and good. 3-point game. Quiring gives off to Kuhn. Cam for 3. He ties the game! Time out, BW! Kuhn has struggled all game, but he comes up with the big shot when he needs it.
What a shot, going to his right, fading away, and he just absolutely buried that with 15 seconds left to go, putting the pressure on Muskingum to win it.
We'll step aside and return in just a moment from Berea. (68-68). Cam Kuhn with the biggest shot of the day just tied the game for BW with just under 15 seconds to play. The Yellow Jackets have put Muskingum in the bonus. They've got 8 fouls. Muskingum still has 2 to give, only 4 so far in the second half. The Muskies have to go the length of the floor, but they'll have a chance to win it if they want to hold for that last second shot. You would think.
Yeah, I would
they
assume
probably would. Dempsey receives the inbound, and BW needs a big defensive stop.
We'll see who they go to here.
Dempsey's had a great. It's Dempsey, the freshman. Down the middle of the paint. Up. No good. We are heading to overtime.
Great defense by Mike Kaminsky there, forcing him into a very tough shot. And wow, what a close to this one.
BW trailed 55-39, and they roared back to life in the second half. 5 more minutes coming your way next on BWYellowJackets.com. "40 minutes of basketball, not enough here this afternoon. The upstart Muskingum Muskies had a 16-point second half lead, but BW has tied it at 68 apiece. Brendan Gulick and Eric Kwiatkowski with you. It's been a fun afternoon. BW's women with a nice win. They've picked up 3 straight wins. The men's team trying to get back on the winning side and move to 4-6 in conference play. Get back over the 500 mark in the regular season. Muskingum in black, BW in white, and we are underway in overtime. Jalen Marsh with 14 on 7 of 13 from the floor. He's had a good afternoon. Jalen Page blocked by Kuhn, but a foul. Marsh with 14, Joshua Keys with 14 and 8 rebounds. He's been a really tough player defensively in the paint. Marcus Dempsey has 12 and 9 rebounds. Freshman guard is doing it all today. Jalen Page with the first one up and good. On the Baldwin Wallace side, Featherolf 16 and 8. Kuhn 13 points, but none bigger than his 3 to tie the game with 15 seconds left. 11 points for Jay Battle, but he has not shot it well, 3 of 13. Battle here. And he's got 2 straight buckets. So Battle has 13 now. Mike Kaminsky in his return to the floor after a couple of weeks. He missed with an ankle injury. He's got 8 points and 4 rebounds and played great defense. Battle helped with Brandy on the takeaway. I think Dylan Nito deserves a lot of credit for the way he's come in and played this afternoon.
Absolutely, as well as Wes and Colombo as well.
Battle on his way to the free throw line. Colombo 4 points, 4 rebounds. Wes Gerhardt helped run the offense while Kuhn was struggling. All tied at 70, and that's the 4th foul against Wilson. So Ricky Wilson has to be careful. He's had 7 points. Hasn't played a huge role after he got off to a quick start. And can you believe it? The Yellow Jackets have their first lead since they led the game 7-6. Battle with one more big shot coming. Good again. 72-70. Jalen Page, we'll see what he's made of. Remember, this is such a young Muskingum team, and they haven't been tested like this too many times this season. Keys the high screen. Kaminsky helped defend. Dempsey on Quiring. Marsh, 4 to shoot it. Gives it off. Glass has to hurry from right in front of the rim. He missed the rim entirely. And they'll call the shot clock violation even though BW had the rebound. So it technically will be statted as a turnover. Baldwin Wallace has only shot it at a 43% clip. The defense, I'm sure Tom Heil will say it in the postgame show, not good for 30 minutes.
Yep.
But they turned it on the last 10 of regulation as Jay Battle goes back to the line. Jackets have hit 11 of 14 from the stripe, so they're taking care of business on their free throw opportunities. Is there a point in this game for you decisively where things started to shift?
I mean, to me, I hate to say this, but it was when Jalil Marsh went down with that injury. Match up with the Muskie defensive or bench squad. They really turned it on and really sparked that offense that really put them back into this game.
I think Tom brought him in because he was unhappy with the way Kuhn and Featherolf and them were playing.
You're right.
But you're right. That was a point in the game where those guys really stepped up big. Battle and Kaminsky force a turnover. Battle is taking over in overtime, and he just got fouled hard. Wow. Jay Battle, he wants the ball late.
What's impressed me about him, especially in this overtime, is that he's not afraid to go up against guys like Keys or Marsh and get into that lane and draw that tough contact. That's what true players are really made of.
Kaminsky and Battle, two guys that mean a lot to the heart and soul of this Yellow Jacket team. Battle just anxious to start shooting those free throws. Up and good. It's a 1-and-1, not a shooting foul, but it's a 5-point Baldwin Wallace lead. BW has outscored Muskingum at this point 7-2 in overtime. 76-70. Battle's practically doing it by himself right now. 3 minutes to go, and the defense being cheered on by the teammates over on the bench. Peart down the right lane. Boy, he just beat Battle right off the dribble.
Yeah, what a quick first step by Peart.
76-72, and Battle did everything he could not to foul him. He's playing with 3 at the moment. Jay Battle has 18 points. Check that, 19 points. Kaminsky's 3 is good! Baldwin Wallace 79, Muskingum 72. Page denied. Back to Dempsey. One of the best freshmen in the conference, trying to make it happen himself. Pretty move. 5-point lead for BW with under 2 minutes to play. Dempsey's nice afternoon continues. Marsh, Keys, and Dempsey all have 14.
How about Marsh on the bench right now for the Muskies with just 1:45 left in this one.
Jay Battle denied at the rim by Keys. Great defensive play. So Muskingum needing points here. Gives it to Peart. 2-possession game in overtime number 1. Dempsey for 3, wide open. It hit the wire above the rim. No good, BW basketball. The Muskies have to press. Brandy helps get it up the floor in time. Kaminsky underneath. 81-74.
He's really been great. Coming off that injury, it's always so tough, but he's played a huge role today.
Timeout Muskies. And Muskingum has to feel a little snake bit. Mike Kaminsky, 6 of 10, 13 big points. Jay Battle, 10 for 10 at the free throw line, despite a 4 for 15 day from the floor. And the Jackets have surged to a 7-point lead in overtime. We'll be right back with the final 102 in overtime after this. Second game in conference that's gone to overtime this afternoon. The first one down in Wilmington has just finished. Remember, DJ Isles for Wilmington launched a 3 at the buzzer to try to win it in regulation and missed. He committed a foul in a tie game with 2 seconds left. Heidelberg's Chris Moxley, who hit the layup to tie the game in regulation, hit both free throws, and Heidelberg hangs on 103-101 at Wilmington. Under a minute to go in overtime number 1. Dempsey and Muskingum down by 7. Glass fouled and won, and Cam Kuhn can't believe it.
Well, you can see his facial expression. That's exactly what he didn't want to do.
So now Joshua Glass has a chance to make this a 4-point game. Here comes Featheroff back for Brandy. Under a minute to go. Glass missed the second big opportunity. He hit the free throw, but I should say hit the field goal and missed the free throw. And now Muskingum has to be content with playing the free throw shooting game. Quiring misses the front end. Muskingum is alive. Dempsey doesn't need a 3, but hoists, and it's too short. Jay Battle on the rebound, and he's going back to the free throw line where he's 10 of 10 this afternoon. 36 seconds left, and the Yellow Jackets trying to put it away. Battle calmly puts it up and in. 82-76. Jay Battle with 19 points. And more than half of them from the free throw line. Give him another one. 12 for 12 from the stripe.
I don't care who you talk to, 12 of 12 is very impressive.
And 8 of 8 in the second half.
Yep.
Page hoists, he has to. It's too long. Battle, another rebound. Jay Battle and the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets just flat out wanted it more. Muskingum started to rest a little bit on its laurels, thinking they had this one done. 55-39, Muskingum led by 16. And BW is seemingly ready to ice this one off with 2 more free throws. Battle's first shot is up and good. He's been automatic. For whatever reason, there's tension in the building. Second one is good too. Jay Battle, the hero today. BW leads the game 85-76. Dempsey for 2, and Muskingum wants a timeout. So the Muskies burn a stoppage, and we'll step aside along with them. 18 seconds left. BW trying to close it out. Baldwin Wallace with an 85-78 lead over Muskingum with 18 seconds left in overtime. What a comeback it's been by the Yellow Jackets this afternoon as Cam Kuhn is fouled kind of hard in the backcourt. It's basically just come down to BW's ability to hit free throws in the clutch, and most of them have come off of Jay Battle's fingertips.
Yeah, he's been great getting to the line, and making the most of them has definitely propelled them to this victory, or seemingly victory today.
Kuhn's shot is good. Tom Heil squatting over in front of his own bench. It's a familiar position for him, and I wonder what's going through his head right now. He has to think that you just never know, even if you're down 16 points. I know he never gave up on his team by any stretch, but he needed somebody to do something to give them a little momentum.
You're right. At one end of the spectrum, the first 30 minutes was so rough, and he was so disappointed, but these last 15 have been absolutely incredible for this team, and it really shows what this team has been made of.
Well, Page hits the layup and keeps this game alive. Muskingum burns a timeout, and I believe that's their final timeout. So 11 seconds left. Muskingum is trying to lengthen the game as much as they possibly can. But it looks good for Baldwin Wallace. Oh, we have a quick second. Why don't you give our fans an updated look at the standings across the conference?
Yeah, sure. We're looking at Marietta pulled off the win against John Carroll today. They will move to 8-2 in the conference. John Carroll will sink to 7-3, while Ohio Northern moves back up into that spot where John Carroll was. So they will move to 8-2. Heidelberg edged out Wilmington. So Wilmington falls to the bottom of the conference. With this win, Baldwin Wallace will be 4-6 after this one as we get back to the game.
Cam Kuhn is fouled.
And so Baldwin Wallace will be 4-6 after this one, and Muskingum will also fall to 4-6. And I believe Capital plays tonight.
They play at Otterbein.
At Otterbein tonight at 7.
Tip.
So depending on that game, that'll seed the middle seeds in the conference after that game tonight.
Kuhn's free throws, putting it away. Hard to really pick an MVP not named Jay Battle with what he's done here in the second half and in overtime. Kuhn hits them both. A true team win for the Yellow Jackets today. Page gives it up. Glass chucks a three. He hits it. And that's just window dressing. 89-83. Baldwin Wallace comes from behind in their most improbable win of the season. Down 16 points in the second half. A tremendous win for the Yellow Jackets. BW goes to 9-8. They are 4-6 in conference play. Muskingum falls to 10-7. They are also 4-6. We'll wrap it up next, and Tom Heil will join us shortly on BWYellowJackets.com. Welcome inside our post-game coverage on BWYellowJackets.com. After a white knuckler in Berea, Baldwin Wallace, 6.5 minutes into the second half, trailed by 16 points. Head coach Tom Heil's team won in overtime, 89-83, thanks to 14 of 15 from the free throw line in overtime. Jay Battle perfect at the line today, 14 of 14 by himself. Your team just played like they wanted it more over the final 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the way we played, obviously late in the second half and in overtime. I thought we really cranked it up defensively. They're very good. They're hard to defend. They've got really good players. They're athletic. They're aggressive, driving it at you. They put you on an island defensively. And I thought our guys did a much better job adjusting in the second half. We guarded our yard better. Individually, I think we defended our guy better, which led to, collectively as a team, we were much better defensively. And I think once we got some stops, we got a little confidence. And we were getting good shots all game, honestly. And we missed some easy ones, I thought, and then we got rolling. Cam made a huge shot, obviously, to get it to overtime. And I thought once it went to overtime, I kind of thought we had the look in our eye like we were pretty hungry to compete and win the game. So proud of the effort in overtime. We got some stops, made a bunch of free throws, which is always a good feeling. So that's an OAC game. They're all like that, I feel like. Comes down to one possession.
I'll tell you what, there's one thing in particular I want to ask you about that people look at the stat sheet and see a bunch of really gaudy numbers. This one won't show up. It's about a player. Dylan Nito came off the bench, and I felt like at that point, things started to turn.
Yeah.
He was playing really hard on both ends of the floor.
Absolutely.
Did you see him as the spark?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can ever point to like one particular thing, but man, I think you're right. He did give us a little bit of juice and energy, and it's really hard when you're in Dylan's position. He's really close to being in the rotation, and he's got to prepare to play every game, not knowing if he's going to play or if he's not going to play. And I think it takes a tremendous amount of maturity, toughness. You have to be, your character, man. It really shows when you're in his role. He's worked every day like he's going to play on Wednesday and Saturday. And because of that, when he went in there today, he was ready to go. And his energy was contagious. He's a really tough kid. He's got all the intangibles. It's not like he's not out there because he's not athletic or a great kid and a great character. He just has needed to improve some areas of his game that he's working at relentlessly. And today he was pretty special. So I'm proud of him, man. It only shows up, 6 minutes. They were 6 pretty important minutes. So I'm proud of him. He's a great kid. He's worked really hard. And I do think he sparked us, gave us some energy.
I know we've talked about off air how Muskingum's program is so much different looking this year than it has been in years past. 2 games in the regular season against them. You won't see them again until potentially the OAC tournament. Both of them went to overtime, and both of them were nail-biters. Your thoughts on the youth and the athleticism that they have, especially at their guards?
Yeah, their guards are really, really good. Right now, I would say Marsh is probably a first-teamer in the league. Dempsey's probably freshman of the year. Those 2 guys, man, they can really go. And Page is pretty dang good, too. So they're good. They're athletic, and they're really hard to keep in front of you because both are such good shooters. You have to account for everything. And I think Travis does a really good job of putting them in the right position. They play with freedom and some pace. They're really good in transition. I mean, this is why the OAC is so good. It's not necessarily the team, that ends up winning it. It's 1 through 10. I mean, everybody's got players. Everybody's got great coaches. Everybody has a good plan and is ready to play. It comes down to, one possession, usually most games. And I think they're as hard to guard, honestly, as anybody in the league. And I think that showed tonight. I was proud. We stepped up in crunch time, and we got some stops. I was really proud of that.
You sure did. Before I let you go, to that point, do you feel like this is the kind of game where your guys felt like, you know what, we're learning how to win close games in conference when it really matters?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we've been in so many close games, We've won a good number of them. We've lost a good number of them. I mean, I think we've got some youth out there, and we just need to get better. And I think you need some confidence at the end that you can close it out, which we had tonight. And you can't overthink it. I mean, you need to execute. You need to be able to get stops when it matters. And honestly, you need guys that are ready to make plays in crunch time. And I think we've made plays. Maybe we just haven't finished them. And tonight we finished enough of them to win the game. So I love our team. I know that, we've only got, one senior out there really playing a lot of minutes. So I feel like we're improving. It's just hard to see it in this league sometimes because it's so good. But I love our group. I'm proud of the effort.
You're in this one. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Heidelberg up next for the Yellow Jackets, but we'll wrap up this post-game report when we come back on BWYellowJackets.com.